We continue the story as Shinpei and his friends approached a rumbling sound, and Tokiko explained that it was Haruko's stomach. She led them to a large shadow that stretched up to the ceiling. At its base was Heine, the god of Hitogashima and the mother of the shadows. Heine announced that it was 9 o'clock and time to eat. Tokiko explained that Haruko took on the appearance of the first human she copied, preferring to be called Heine. Heine looked at Shinpei and asked how many times they had met, making Shinpei realize she was the one who killed Ushio. Tokiko called in Nagero, a nurse from their clinic. Tokiko revealed that on average, 4 people die on Hitogashima each year, and her family feeds the dead to Heine. Nagero brought 2 coffins, one of which contained Ushio. Tokiko also told Sue that their mother wasn't cured. Instead, their father asked Heine to turn her into a shadow to keep her alive. Heine began eating the body in the other coffin. Knowing that shadows can't move for a few seconds while scanning, Shinpei instructed Shadow Ushio to act. She materialized a nail gun in Shinpei's hands, and he shot at the baby-like shadows. Shadow Ushio then grabbed Ushio's body and scanned her to regenerate her arm. Heine transformed Shadow Nagero into a more muscular form and sent him after Shinpei, but Ushio killed Nagero. Shinpei tried to shoot Heine, but she sliced his nail gun and fingers in half. The Shadow Parent appeared, threatening to take Ushio's body and revealing that he had Mio. Tokiko grew angry, reminding them of their promise not to harm Mio. The Shadow Parent shot at Tokiko, but Sue took the bullet for her. Then the Shadow shot Tokiko as well. Heine ordered Ushio to approach slowly. Shinpei offered himself to be eaten instead, but Heine ripped out his red eye. However, it immediately returned, making her realize she couldn't take his power. In retaliation, the Shadow Parent crushed Mio's skull, killing her. He intended to keep Shinpei alive until the next day. Tetsu arrived, and moments later, Hizuru blew the Shadow Parent's head off, freeing Shinpei. Hizuru knew she had one more shot and aimed at Shinpei, but the Shadow Parent created a shield, blocking the bullet, and shot Hizuru in the head, killing her. Shinpei thanked Hizuru and Tetsu, revealing that he had already consumed a bottle of poison. Heine suddenly noticed Ushio reversing her corrosion. The Shadow Parent attempted to kill Ushio, but Shinpei took her and started looping back with her. Shinpei found himself back at the moment he first met Hizuru and Nezu. Hizuru quickly figured out that Shinpei was a time traveler. At that moment, Ushio appeared next to Shinpei. After explaining what had happened, they all decided to work together. As they shook hands, Ushio shared her memories with Hizuru and Nezu. Nezu mentioned that if Shiori was part of Haruko, killing her repeatedly wouldn't work since Shiori was only a small part of Haruko's shadow. Ushio suggested capturing Shiori again and then trying to erase her. The group prepared to attack the Kobayakawas. Hizuru switched to her brother Ryunosuke's persona. Ryunosuke entered the building and attacked Asako. Outside, the group waited for Ryunosuke's signal, but they were shocked when they saw him being thrown through a window. Ryunosuke told them to run, and then a 4-armed shadow smashed his head with a hammer. The shadow surrounded Shinpei and was about to capture him, but Ushio cut off Shinpei's head, activating his loop, and they both disappeared. As they looped, Ushio told Shinpei that after scanning the shadow, she found it was empty, but had the same smell as Heine. Shinpei returned to a time around their homes and saw 2 people, recognizing one as Hizuru. He followed them but couldn't interact with anything. He realized he was 14 years in the past, and even saw his parents. Shinpei found himself at Hishigata's old clinic in the mountains. Moments later, Heine appeared and Hizuru greeted her. They spent time together and played games. Hizuru met Nezu, who warned her about the dangers in the forest due to snakes. Ryunosuke went to the clinic to bring water to Hizuru and saw Haine, bloody and eating a small animal. Later, Hizuru saw a flash and found Haine standing over the dead Ryunosuke. Haine regained her senses and turned back into Ryunosuke. As Hizuru screamed, a flash occurred, blowing away her eye. She covered her left eye, but the light exposed her right eye, causing her pain. Haine retreated into her shadow. Two incomplete shadows appeared, resembling a mother and child. The child's shadow ran towards Hizuru, but Nezu attacked it. A flash occurred, and the mother shadow turned into Nezu. Shadow Nezu then attacked the real Nezu and injured his eye. Hizuru heard her brother's voice and took Nezu, jumping away as Ryunosuke took control of Hizuru. Shadow Nezu tried to attack Ryunosuke from behind, but he predicted it, dodged, and killed him. After the incident, Hizuru decided to leave the island. As she left, she encountered Haine, who told her she was letting her go because they were friends. Shinpei loops back to the moment they are heading towards the Kobayakawas and tells Ryunosuke they shouldn't go. Meanwhile, Nezu is on a hill, observing and wondering where the shadows will come from. Suddenly, Shadow Mio stabs him in the head, killing him. As Shinpei thanks everyone for joining him, a blink occurs, and he finds himself back home. Ushio and Mio arrive and explain that he was shot by a sniper rifle. Mio is surprised since they wanted Shinpei alive before, but Shinpei explains that he can loop one more time. Hizuru notes that if he dies again, it will be his permanent death, and the world will be as Haine sees it. Shinpei waits outside for Haine, who arrives with Sheade and other shadows. They send Mio's shadow, but before she can attack Shinpei, Ushio appears from his wristwatch, takes him, and runs away. Nezu shoots at Sheade's shadow, but it has no effect, making him wonder if Sheade is invincible. Nezu continues to shoot and kill regular shadows. Shinpei and Ushio pass through a corridor, leaving Hizuru to handle the shadows following them. Mio's shadow heads towards Nezu, but Tokiko summons two large baby-like shadows, pushing Mio away. Ryunosuke fights the shadows and foresees Sheade shooting Shinpei from behind, blocking the shot with his body. Haine knew Ryunosuke would cover Shinpei, revealing she also has shifted sight and can see 2 seconds into the future. Sheade fails to kill Ryunosuke as Nezu shoots at him, allowing Ryunosuke to escape. Surprised to see Tokiko fighting Shadow Mio, Haine orders the shadows to kill Tokiko, stating she is not their master. However, the shadows ignore the order and smash Mio, making Haine realize her connection to the stray shadows has been severed by Ushio. Angry, Haine jumps on Shidi, merging him with the remaining shadows and giving him a spider-like appearance. Shidi and Haine reach the school's sports hall. There, Ushio reveals that her hair is above them and turns it into gasoline, which Shinpei ignites. The shadows start burning, but Haine jumps to the ceiling with a sako. Tetsu shoots at her, but she turns towards him, causing his gun to disappear and reappear in Shinpei's hands. Shinpei then shoots Haine's shadow, injuring her. Ushio grabs Haine's hand, who is in Sheade's form. Distracted, Sheade grabs Ushio and pulls her into the fire while also shooting Shinpei. Ushio's necklace appears behind Sheade and transforms into Ushio, who punches Sheade from behind and pierces his chest. Ushio starts erasing Sheade, and as he falls apart, a human hand emerges from him. Haine goes berserk, scanning and consuming all the oxygen and extinguishing the fire. The dropped air pressure makes the windows burst open, and air rushes into the hall. Haine takes Sheade and flees. Ushio worries about Shinpei, who was shot, but Shinpei reveals he was wearing a homemade bulletproof vest. The group captured Shadow Mio and asked Ushio to turn her into an ally. They headed to a secret hallway, and Tokiko explained it led to Haruko's cave, used to bring dead bodies to her. Eventually, they found Sue's mother choking Sato. Ushio rushed in and hacked Sue's mother, freeing her from Heine's control. Sato revealed that Heine wanted to return to her hometown in the deep ocean and intended to bring shadows with her, the family she handpicked. Sato opened a safe revealing patient records of people who ended up as food for Heine, including Heine's parents. Shinpei wondered if Sato knew Shide's real identity, and Sato confirmed. She gave a photo to Shinpei, stating that Shide was Heine's guardian and the first child she gave birth to, Shidehiko Hishigata, the founder of the Hishigata Clinic. The next day, Shinpei decided it was time to meet with Masahito Karakuri. He went to the Haruko shrine and found Masahito. While waiting for Masahito to bring drinks, Shinpei confirmed with Ushio that there were no shadows nearby and that Masahito was not a shadow. Shinpei revealed that he had learned the legend of Haruko. He explained that Haruko was a being from space that likely arrived on Earth as a meteorite, fell into the ocean, and started copying ocean creatures. It eventually transformed into a whale 300 years ago and washed ashore on the island. As the villagers gathered, a girl approached the whale and it copied the girl, starting the shadow sickness. Masahito laughed, but Shinpei tossed photos at him and asked if he should call him Shidehiko Hishigata. Shinpei pointed his gun at Masahito, stating he was Shidei. He then showed Masahito another picture, taken by Dr. Hishigata's father 40 years ago, depicting Heine with Masahito and a baby. The baby wasn't a shadow, but was born from Heine's flesh and blood. Heine copied Shidehiko's personality and memories and transferred them into the child, thus restoring his youth. Shidehiko continued being reborn over and over by Heine, allowing him to live for 300 years. Ushio, unable to stand it anymore, came out and slashed Masahito, killing him. Suddenly, another Masahito appeared and stabbed Ushio's shadow, slashing her with a spear. Shinpei lost control and shot at Masahito 3 times. Black mud surrounded Masahito, turning him into Shide. Shide then threw the spear at Shinpei, hitting him in the chest. Shide noted that with Ushio's death, he could only move with despair and regret now. Shinpei awakened and started to cry because he looped back alone without Ushio. Now, let me know your opinion about the story down in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you in the next story.